You know that feeling when you look at a kid's toy and something just feels off, like a little shiver down your spine? Well, some of the most innocent-looking things can hide some seriously dark secrets. And today, we are diving headfirst into the terrifying story of one of those objects. We're talking about a toy that has become a massive modern urban legend.
So yeah, how dangerous can a cute little doll really be? It seems like a simple enough question, right? But oh boy, it gets a whole new, chilling meaning when we start talking about the Labubu doll. I mean, think about it. How much pure chaos and horror can you really pack into one tiny, smiling toy? Well, as you're about to see, the answer is a whole lot more than you'd think.
Okay, so our story kicks off in Shanghai with a young woman named Mei Lin. From all accounts, she was just a sweet person living a pretty simple, happy life. She was a huge doll collector, like super passionate about it, and she shared her life with her amazing dog, Bao.
So one day, a super limited edition collection of Labubu dolls shows up at the toy shop where she works. And of course, they sold out almost instantly. But Mei Lin, being the collector she is, had already snagged one for herself. And this one, it was special. It was this beautiful, unique golden color, totally different from the others. It had these big, innocent-looking blue eyes and this really cute kind of toothy smile. I mean, for her, it was the perfect find.
So, totally thrilled, Mei Lin brings this golden doll home. She's taking pictures of it just completely over the moon. So excited that she doesn't even notice this weird, kind of sinister glint in the doll's eyes reflecting back at her from her phone screen. And then she decides to introduce the new family member to her best friend Bao. You know, she's thinking he's going to love it just as much as she does. Yeah, she was very, very wrong.
And the reaction? Wow. It was instant. Normally, with all her other dolls, Bao is just a happy camper wagging his tail. But the second he saw this golden Labubu doll, it was like a switch flipped. All that happiness just vanished. He started barking like crazy, growling aggressively. This was the very first red flag, a sign that something was seriously, deeply wrong here.
You know, Mei Lin just kind of brushed it off, figured Bao was just having a weird moment or something. So she puts the doll up on a shelf and thinks nothing of it. Little did she know the curse was already starting to sink its teeth in.
And the very next day, man, it was a complete disaster. It all started in the morning. Bao was going absolutely nuts, just barking and barking at the doll. Mei Lin got so frustrated that she ended up locking him in the bathroom. Then she goes to work, and Mei Lin, who's usually super gentle, completely snaps at a customer. And just like that, she's fired. That night, she hears this weird laughter in her house, and then has this horrifying nightmare about some kind of decaying, red creature with these razor-sharp claws. She wakes up screaming, and what does she find? The Labu doll, which she'd left on the shelf, is now sitting right on her chest.
Her scream sends Bao bursting into the room, and when he sees that doll on top of her, he just loses it. He lunges at the toy with this fury that Mei Lin had never, ever seen before. He just tears it to shreds, ripping the fur, the plastic, everything, until there's nothing left. Mei Lin is completely shaken up, but also relieved. She sweeps up the pieces, throws them in the trash, and thinks, okay, the nightmare is finally over. Or so she thought. But it wasn't over. Not even close. In fact, the horror came back, and this time it was so much worse. When Mei Lin woke up the next morning, that little moment of relief she felt, it was completely shattered, replaced by this cold, awful sense of dread. First off, her head is just pounding, and she looks at her hands and face, and they're covered in these weird little red marks, almost like bite marks. She stumbles to the bathroom, looks in the mirror, and that's when her blood just turns to ice. There, on the shelf, sitting perfectly fine, was the golden Labu doll, intact. And its smile? It didn't look cute anymore. It looked evil. Okay, so now full-blown panic sets in. Where's Bao? He's nowhere. She's calling his name, searching every single room, nothing. Then she walks into the kitchen, and there's the doll again. This time it's just sitting by the sink, but something was different. Its little golden hands and that big, toothy smile, they were stained with something fresh and dark and red. Mei Lin looks down, right below the sink, and her entire world just collapses. It was Bao. He'd been brutally attacked, almost as if he'd been torn apart by some wild animal. This wasn't just a psychological game anymore. The threat was real, it was lethal, and her best friend was gone. At this point, there's no doubt in her mind.
This is something supernatural. So what do? She turns to the internet, desperate for answers. And the more she reads, the more horrified she becomes, because she realizes she is not the only one this has happened to. She knew right then and there she had to destroy this doll. For good, no matter what it took. And she didn't mess around. First, she takes the doll outside and lights it on fire. She watches it burn until it's literally nothing but a pile of ash. But she's not done. She carefully collects all of those ashes, seals them up tight in a glass jar, then drives to a river and throws the jar as far as she can into the deep water. I mean, that has to be it, right? Surely, this time it's really truly gone.
But some curses, they just don't break that easily. The next morning, Malin was found dead in her home, and sitting right there beside her, looking just as perfect and cheerful as the day she first brought it home, was the golden Labubu doll.
And as tragic as Malin's end was, it was really just the beginning of something much bigger. Her story got shared online, and it just exploded. It became one of many, and it sparked this whole global phenomenon. All of a sudden, reports of haunted Labubu dolls started popping up from all over the world. It created a massive wave of panic.
And what's so creepy is how similar all the stories were. People would report their dolls literally biting them. Then, boom, sudden misfortune. They'd lose their job out of nowhere. They'd get hit with some unexplained serious illness. Or even worse, a close relative or a pet would die. The panic got so bad that several countries apparently banned the dolls. And get this, people were even calling priests to perform exorcisms on them. On the doll.
Naturally, as the legend got bigger, so did the theories about where this evil was coming from. People started looking for an origin story, and eventually they started whispering a name from ancient mythology, Pazuzu. We're talking about an ancient evil demon king, the kind of entity known for bringing famine and disease, and the theory is that this thing has found a brand new, innocent-looking vessel to do its dirty work.
So what's the real story here? Is the Labubu doll actually a genuinely cursed object? Or is this whole thing just a wild example of how a story can go viral and turn a simple toy into a symbol for everything we're afraid of? It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other perfectly innocent things are sitting on a shelf somewhere, just one scary story away from becoming a total nightmare?